What up, and welcome to the Beneath the Dirt podcast. I'm your host, Bone. Thank you for tuning in. We're at episode 95 of the show. I got a couple special guests with me. We got Robbie from Twiztid History. What's good?
Nothing much. Just starting my day, ready to talk some shit.
Hell yeah. And we got Jokerz Gallery in the fucking building. What's good?
What up, man? Ready to chop it up with you two. We always have a good time whenever we talk about anything music related, so it's always a good time on Beneath the Dirt.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys hopping on. Last time we talked, it was right before Mad Season dropped. It's been a few months since the album came out. And did it live up? I don't know if there was really much hype behind it because it kind of just came out, but are you still bumping it? Is it good? What are your guys' thoughts on Mad Season?
I think it absolutely lived up to the expectations, especially because there wasn't strong. I mean, not that there wasn't strong ones, but no one knew really what to expect. And was it going to be a single collections? Was it going to be, or a collection of singles rather? Was it going to be choppy? Whatever. And I think it was. It plays like an album. I think it's perfectly flows. I don't think it sounded like we got to throw something together to get some product out there to people. It sounded like it was intended to always sound like that. And I am still bumping it on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah.
Same here. We were talking about it, how we would judge it being a classic Twiztid album if it's one you can just put on, press play, and listen to the whole album and then want to do it again after it finishes it. And that's exactly how this album is for me. And we talked about wondering how Hungry Like a Wolf was going to play in on the album since it was on there. It was kind of a little bit different from what we had heard from the singles. And I think it's perfectly placed. It's almost like a refresher to get you back into the second half of the album. I know I've told Bone this. I think it's my favorite Twiztid album since Abominations, which is my favorite album by anyone ever.
Wow, that's strong. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And I do agree that Hungry Like the Wolf is like, it's a bridge between the two halves almost, which is unfortunate not to see it on the vinyl and stuff like that, because I mean, I don't know what the fuck's going on with all this track list nonsense, but each format has a different track missing or whatever, but
right. Digital doesn't have
never change.
The CD has it. The vinyl doesn't have Follow Me or Hungry Like the Wolf. But I agree, Hungry Like the Wolf is fucking awesome. I still think it's one of the best Twiztid songs they've made in the last 10 years. I agree with Jokerz Gallery fully. I think I saw him say it first, saying that this is their best album since Abominations. Absolutely. This sounds like the album that should have came after Abominations. And these dudes just killed it on this album, even with the singles that I listened to a million fucking times before the album came out. It still plays out like an album, and it still gets bumped regularly.
Well, it's crazy that like a lot of people just, I guess it's practice or whatever, like get better at over time or get worse over time. It's crazy how much better they're getting over time. Like something like Hungry Like the Wolf. Could you imagine that existing on an album 10 years ago? I mean, it's like you see people change over time. You don't see them taking risks that often as they get into their later years. And this is like, these guys are just like willing to try anything at this point. And I think it's super fun to see.
I think it goes both ways because Generation Nightmare was very experimental, and to me, that album was not good. Not good at all. Their experimentation on that album did not land with me. But with Hungry Like the Wolf, probably really the only track they really went left field with on the new album. I think they killed it. I mean, Jimmy Urine's one of my favorite artists of all time.
And I think
on it was great.
I think for me, the experimental stuff on Generation Nightmare that hit the best is the stuff no one talked about, kind of the sleeper songs. Hold on, I'm pulling up the track list right now. But because I think I'm like one of the only regularly professed Generation Nightmare marks out there at this point. But like something like Bring Me Back or Skit 17, If It Matters What I Think Now. I think some of those are the weirder songs that kind of point towards a couple of the tracks that are on Mad Season. But I think they were so overshadowed by stuff like Wreck or, some of the more like directly rock songs,
right?
That they kind of just got lost in the shuffle. It's also 20 tracks. It's easy for that to happen if people aren't immediately grabbed by it. But I think it did point the way to some of that stuff, and so I'm glad to see them doing it in a way that I think they consciously realized people weren't feeling the entire album through and through, and they went like, all right, let's take some of these elements and move it to this, but maybe save some of the stuff that didn't hit with the rock, or some of the rock stuff that didn't hit with people, save that for the next one, blah blah blah. I don't know, learning from mistakes, which are, I don't want to call it mistakes, but experimenting and then refining, I guess.
Yeah, I
think with Generation Nightmare, really, there's only 2 tracks that I don't like on it. So you've got 18 tracks that I like, but I say I don't like the album overall. It just doesn't have a good feel to put on, press play, and listen to the whole album like I was talking about. But I like almost every track on the album, and some of them are some of my favorite tracks Twiztid have ever done. You talk about them always experimenting and changing their sound and getting better. The first time I heard Magic Spells, I thought Head PE was on there. And you're talking about 2 bands that I've listened to for 20 plus years. And I think I know what these dudes sound like pretty well. And for the first time I listened to it, I thought that was Jared.
Right.
But it was Madross, which is just impressive as hell to me, because I always thought Jared had one of the coolest voices. Whenever he did like the actual rock voice, I thought he had one of the coolest voices in rock.
Well, and it's rare in even metal or anything that you get someone starting to scream more as they get older. Like they hit their 40s, like, okay, now I'm going to scream.
And hold the melody as well as he did, too.
Totally.
Y'all know how I feel about Head B. If you watched my clip from last week that I all over social media.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I was big into them, and the first 3 albums back in the day, and I don't think I paid a lick of attention since.
Yeah, they're kind of like Isham. They haven't had a good album in a really long time, in my opinion. But I always go back to their classic stuff, and it still sounds just as good.
Have you guys heard the new Twiztid track with Young Wicked and Lex the Hexmaster?
Yeah, I learned from my mistakes. I listened to it twice, and I'm off it.
Mm-hmm. Same. I listened to it once. I listened to it on my way home from work one night, and I was like, this song is fucking awesome.
It's incredible. It's so good. Everyone, Lex tears it up on but yeah, I'm like, okay, I'll wait.
The cover was so funny that I knew the song was going to be hard as fuck. It's like, you can't put out a bad song with that cover. Right. So they obviously knew they had something that was going hard as fuck. You talked about Lex. Man, Lex is starting to compete with Monoxide for my favorite rapper on MME, because that dude is just straight on fire right now.
Yeah, I've always been a Lex fan, but this, last few months, I think he got a fire under him because he realized, you can
he's getting his look together. I like his new merch is getting out. His the first episode of his EP series was every track was a fucking banger. Like, I'm really excited for Lex. He's a good ass dude, and he's always been somebody that he's been offered the opportunity to get rid of the horrorcore gimmick so many times, and he hasn't. That you kind of got to respect that now. That he's literally somebody that loves the fucking horrorcore culture, because he's embraced it so much. Whenever it could have been easy for him to take the paint off or anything like that and be just as successful. I've heard Monoxide say several times he's tried to get him to take the paint off, and he still refuses. As much as I think he would be even more successful without the paint, I got to give him props for that. It just shows that he loves this genre of music, and he's going to represent it regardless of what anybody thinks. And I always love that kind of attitude from my artists.
I think that's a good way to look at it. I would still prefer if he lost the gimmick. I think he has that appeal where he could just.
Yeah, same here. There's sometimes I'm hearing his music and I'm hearing 94, 95 Wu-Tang. Like just the flows that he hits and stuff.
Yeah.
He could take the paint off, no doubt, and be even more successful. But I got to give him props for sticking to it. If he says it's what he loves, it's what he loves, and he's sticking to it.
The question I have. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, the question I have with that is, if he did take it off, would he be more successful? Because, people sounding like 94, 95 New York, there's obviously Griselda and stuff like that, but it's not like that sound is necessarily super popping right now.
In the underground scene, it's on a surge right now. If you're immersed into that, if you follow it, it's definitely surging back right now, and it's a lot of people are doing it. I'd like to see him do it, but if he's just going to keep doing what he's doing, and if the music sounds like what Party Castle episode 1 sounds like, which sounds much better, even though it's only 8 songs, mm-hmm. It sounded more cohesive than Contact and Beyond Redemption, which both those albums have really good songs on them, but as a whole, they really lack. And then you have his mixtapes where it's just over other people's instrumentals, 50 Cent, Eminem, you know, all these classic beats, and he's killing it on every track.
Yeah.
I like that he's kind of honing in on his sound and making it sound you know, more together, more as one. Whereas his first couple albums, you know, his actual albums were just kind of all over the place.
Well, I think it's exciting because, like you said, like he's so into the underground, the horrorcore scene. Like, I think it's exciting that he's kind of the most immersed in that out of anyone almost on Magic Ninja or anything like that. Because if you like, NetFest happened and they had the Shrunken Head Entertainment block, and I wasn't really familiar with most of those artists. But then HB the Grizzly came on, and I was like, "Damn, who is this girl? She is singing her ass off." And then like 2 days later, the track list drops for Party Castle, and she's on the feature. You know, he's always reposting or, you know, commenting on stuff, you know, Scum says. Like, he's got Flatliners coming in, like he's on the Real Wolf compilations. Like, he's in that world in a way that I don't think Magic Ninja always is. I think they dip a toe into it, you know, and Twiztid obviously does features and stuff, but I think it's cool that he doesn't want to be just a Magic Ninja artist. He doesn't want to just be one, you know, he lives in the underground horrorcore scene. I think that's exciting. There's a lot of bridges there.
I've seen him interact a lot with the LSP, and I was like, I could see him just fitting in perfectly over at LSP if, you know, things didn't work out with M&E or something, or even if he never went to M&E, I could just see him in that LSP camp, just meshing in perfectly.
Totally. I think he probably sells on their level too. Like, I think
yes.
I've thought of him at some points, and this is not intended as disparaging or anything, but like, he never hit in the way like a G-Mo hit or a Zool hit, you know what I mean? But I think he hits right on the level of a lot of the bigger LSP names. Like, as far as record sales, probably, and the way I see people excited about him. I'm a little bit more now, but I mean, a year ago, I think a lot of people would have said, you know, oh yeah, that was that guy. I don't know, whatever. But I think there's a certain pressure to be on that elevated, you know, psychopathic MNE level, and I think he almost feels more like one of those more underground LSP artists.
I think that's kind of I'm trying to think of the word. I don't know if it's burden or what, but like if you think of like psychopathic in 02, 03, they had Blaze, they just signed ABK, Zug Island, and then all these acts just instantly were like, Juggalos were just like, yep, just give it to me. And ABK was selling like 60,000 copies of
Hatchet Warrior.
Yeah. And I mean, nobody's selling those kind of numbers these days in the underground, but I mean, 50,000 back then wasn't a lot compared to the mainstream. Mainstream was selling millions at that time, but still, I don't know if, you know, dudes like Lex, Gorilla Voltage when they were on M&E, Lars, even though it's bizarre, from D12 and King Gordy, dudes that have been around forever, they're just not being accepted like acts were 15, 17 years ago.
And I think it makes sense because, I mean, there's more of an organic growth to it, I think, where someone like Lex or Gorilla Voltage, I mean, like, you'll see between album 1 and album 2 interest grow, but I think there was just that period where it was like anything that we slap our sticker on is a hit, you know? And,
also, back in those days, if you made that investment of buying a CD for $15 to $20 of one of those artists, you were going to force yourself to listen to that thing much more than you would now whenever you can stream it for free. And then you don't like it the first listen. You're like, well, I'm good off that. I got 700 other albums to listen to see if I like.
I literally have all of music that I can go to instead.
Exactly.
That's so true.
And I was so frugal back in the day, spending $15, $20 on a CD. I had to get my worth out of that CD, so I was going to make sure that I liked something or at least got my play value out of it.
Right, exactly. I remember some of those albums, playing them and knowing I wasn't enjoying it, but being like, "Oh, this is fucking dope!" like lying to myself.
I've never forced myself. I've always bought so much music, as you guys know my collection. I've always bought so much music. If I didn't like it, I didn't play it, regardless if I paid $15 for a CD. If it sucked, it sucked. I'm not going to torture my way and listen to force myself to maybe like a song or two,
Yeah,
the only ones that I would do that to, where I would just listen to them once, and if I didn't like them, I'd never really listen to them again, was whenever I was doing the Columbia House and BMG hustles back in the day.
Yeah.
Whenever you could get like 6 free CDs, and then you could wait like a month, not pay them, and then send another information with a different name on it and get 6 more CDs. Like that's how I got like my entire run of like Wu-Tang Clan solo albums, like all the rap that was coming out, all that classic rap that was coming out. Like I had the Columbia House or BMG version of all those.
Yep.
Yeah, shout out to Bush's 16 Stone and the self-titled Sublime album. I got a lot of those.
Yep, 311 for me.
Yeah,
all that shit.
Hootie and the Blowfish was big in the Columbia House catalog.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm excited for Lex to wrap that up. Like, I don't know. I think he's going places, and I think he's going at his own pace, and I think I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying watching the ride, and I think the pressure's off him a little bit to explode when he was like the one guy on MNE that was new. I think he hung back for a while and watched kind of the way things bubbled and the way things worked, and I think he's ready to be who he needs to be, and I'm looking forward to it.
What I'm hearing with Lex now, with the evolution of his music, how we're talking about it's getting better, and he's refining his look, he's getting it all together, he's getting his merch game together. I'm not saying he's gonna be this successful, because I don't think anybody can be this successful anymore. But he reminds me of ICP in between Carnival of Carnage and Ringmaster. It seems like he's finding his sound, he's finding what he wants to do, and he's getting his look together, and then his music's getting better and better and matching. He's getting more and more comfortable with that persona. And right now, I think his next album will be his Riddle Box.
I like that.
Gonna have to wait and see. I mean, I'm liking the way the Party Castle EP, the first one sounds. We got 3 more to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
and there's a single coming out soon, right? So the next one's on the way.
Yeah, I'd like to see him pump out at least another one before the year's over.
I think the goal is all of them, right?
Yeah, I think it's to get them all out this year.
All this year?
I think
so.
No shit. Okay, I didn't hear that, but I'm for it. I can't consume enough music, so
yeah,
bring it on. I mean, Twiztid is still supposed to drop 2 more albums.
Mm-hmm. And they got that single on the way, another one with Young Wicked. I mean, I think at this point,
fucking sick.
Yeah, it's really good. And I mean, the Laughable cover art was fun, and it was funny and it was obvious, the quarantine thing.
Got attention.
Yeah. But this one I think is taking that and making it, going, okay, well, when we know we're not going to do a photo shoot, let's make something that looks fucking cool,
I saw Monoxide live stream earlier, earlier last week. He said they got like 6 or 7 rock songs being mixed right now that are completely done, and 6 or 7 rap songs being mixed right now. But he said there's probably 12 to 15 of rap and rock songs each that are recorded. They're just arranging them to how they want and then sending them to Young Wicked to get mixed. So It sounds like we are going to get that rock album and rap album. Another thing I heard, someone pointed out to me, apparently Monoxide said in a live stream they're going to put out an album where it's 6 Twiztid songs, 6 Madrox songs, and 6 Monoxide songs. Have you guys heard that?
I haven't heard it lately, but I do know, like around the time, maybe right after Generation Nightmare came out or somewhere around then, he was saying that he wanted to do that. He called it the 666 Project, and he thought that was a dope idea. And I think he said there was some pushback from some people. I don't know if it was because of the 666 or if it was because of just not wanting to do solo tracks or what. But I think he said that there was some resistance in the camp, but that was what he thought would be a dope idea. So I don't know if he was bringing that idea back. I think that's super cool. Although I don't know if they're going to sell it as a 3-disc album or.
I've been saying it. I want them to do some speaker box Love Below.
Absolutely.
Shit. A double album, Madrox solo, Monoxide solo, package it as one, give it to us.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I do remember Monoxide bringing that up a couple of weeks ago on a live stream. about the 666. He didn't confirm it, saying that they were going to go with it, but he said it was still an ideal that was in the cloud.
I like that idea. If we're not going to get, my crazy idea or dream of a double solo album project, that would be dope. 6 Twiztid songs, 6 Monoxide songs, 6 Madrox songs.
Yeah, that's a dope idea.
I would love. I'm so curious what a solo Monoxide, record sounds like at this point, because Chainsmoker is so hip hop, and I mean his voice at this point, like he has nailed being scary and also being kind of a shit talker.
He's nailed down his flow so good. It's perfect. Like I say, he started leveling up since Wicked. You could hear it on Wicked. You could hear it even more on Heartbroken and Homicidal. And then Abominations came out, and you're like, who the fuck is this dude? This ain't even the same dude that was on Most Tasteless. Like, not even close. And then if you listen to the House of Crazy Shit, you're like, what the fuck, dude? This dude is like
trash.
Right. Like, it's completely different. Completely different. And he's so fucking good. And I forget what my point was.
I think that he's leveled up super hard. I was just saying, I wonder what his new music would sound like solo.
Oh, yeah. Solo-wise. I like Chainsmoker a lot, but the production wasn't that great. If I would hope if he did either one of them did a solo project. Same thing with Fatso. The production on it, for whatever reason, just wasn't that great. Good songs, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. Those I like Chainsmoker better of the two, but those two I do think suffer from, I don't know if it's just making them quick or I don't know. There's something lacking, and maybe it's just the chemistry between the two of them. I don't know.
Yeah, I would hope if they do solo albums that they get that crazy production. Hit up 7.
Mm-hmm.
Hit up Mikey Clark. Fuck it, right? It seems like they're working with them anyway.
Yeah, he sent them some tweets, or he retweeted something the other day saying how like fire one of their new tracks were, or something, or
yeah.
So he's definitely in talks with them at least, or friendly.
Right. I would like to see upgraded production on solo albums, because I mean they got it for the Twiztid albums. Like Mad Season, the production on there is fucking insane on some of those songs.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think just across the board, their production has gotten better. And I mean, maybe it's just working with people like Young Wicked and 7 and them instead of Lavelle or whoever. But because I think Lavelle did like 90% of Chainsmoker. I don't know who did Fat, so I can't think of it off top. But just friends that are decent producers.
Right. Yeah.
Talking about Mikey Clark made me think of NetFest. We didn't get to talk about that whenever we were talking about Mad Season coming out.
We talked about.
We were kind of speculating on something like it happening, but it hadn't went down. What did you all think about it?
I was there all day.
In general, or Mikey Clark on NetFest? Just
what did you think of NetFest in general? Did you enjoy the experience?
I thought NetFest was cool. It was a lot of, especially that first hour, the UGH thing, just a lot of, it was just, I mowed my lawn during that part.
I did dishes.
And even like when it got to like the main card or whatever, there were still acts on like the main card or the undercard, whatever you want to call it, where I was like, why are these people here? They're not that good. I don't think they deserve to be in this spot. But overall, I had fun.
Yeah.
The good outweighed the bad. Draven reads mean tweets.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Of NetFest. I love
that. Stole the show. That stole the fucking show.
Hilarious.
And you know who stole the show for me? Well, just to piggyback on what you said, that first hour, I actually loved it. And because none of it was that good. And I don't mean that to be, talk shit, but like, it was fun to do dishes and get ready and be like, this is, the opening acts at a show. Like you go to a show, they got the local openers, they're mostly trash. But it's fun to see what people are doing. You can see kind of where the obvious inspiration comes from. Like, oh, this guy's doing this guy's trying to be Madrox, this lady's trying to be Smalls One or something. And you can, So I thought that was fun in that way. It felt reminiscent of going to shows. I think most of the entire middle of the day could have fucking been dropped. And it was fun to be there all day, but like, man, some of those people, like, I can't pull their names off the top of my head because I probably didn't catch them to begin with.
See what you were talking about with that first half of the show. That's what I was feeling as well. Like, I wasn't paying attention to them, but I had it on in the background, and I was like kind of like looking at the schedule for NetFest and looking what was coming up and planning out when I needed to see it. I kind of like, it kind of felt like the gathering. Whenever you're at the gathering, the people that open up the day, you just kind of sit at your camp and you listen to them from where you're at in your camp, and you're plotting out your day throughout it. And there for a second, it felt like I was like at a gathering, like, it's 2 p.m. and I'm looking through my phone to see whenever Blaze is going to be on stage because I don't want to miss them.
Absolutely, yeah. So you said talking about stealing the show. To me, I feel like NetFest changed my whole course of what I was listening to, because I was listening to nothing but Mad Season and stuff like that because it had just come out, and then I feel like LSP came through on NetFest and absolutely made their presence felt, made them an entity to be reckoned with in that scene. And I mean, I had been listening to Dark Half and stuff like that, but after that I went and just it opened up the gates of me fucking with LSP altogether as a whole, and I think that was a big look for them. I
love Damian Quinn's segment in that LSP block. Oh, that was so good. Yeah,
that gave me for real chills. Just the Geno mask and that was fantastic. And I thought the thing that was cool about that I think was cooler in a way than some of the bigger names on the bill was that each act did their own weird thing in the way that everyone did all day. But it was cool to say, like, here's our label, and you got Smalls One, like rapping in the dark, just in her living room or whatever. Damien doing a whole produced thing, Insane Poetry doing like a 16 he had written that day or whatever. Scum doing the thing he does on his live streams all the time, just kind of rapping in the studio. Like it felt like here's all of our different personalities and our own different little worlds that we live in, but as a team we're this thing. I thought that was exciting.
Yeah, it was dope. And then you had dudes like Murs and R.A. the Rugged Man, who R.A. the Rugged Man's sitting there rapping with his kids, playing with his kids. And they're like
Murs
and stuff.
Murs broke his couch legitimately.
Yeah.
Like you can hear it break on the broadcast.
He's jumping on it. You just snap it
in his socks.
In his shitty old man socks.
Right.
I was thinking of Choco whenever I see in the old man socks.
Yeah. I like how they really played off the theme. Some of these acts with the the NetFest on your couch. Mm-hmm. Them just chilling in their houses rapping. You had Choir Boy Dank.
I thought he did really well. I thought he kind of stole the show a little bit for somebody that kind of put himself on the map for me personally, because I wasn't in the swag tooth. But man, his performance was really, really well done as far as visually and audio. Sounded fucking pretty flawless.
Yeah, Choir Boy Dank's the shit. I fuck with his music. His performance was dope. Obviously, M&E, they had transformed their studio or whatever,
wherever that was,
into
Monoxide talking in between songs, telling you to get your cat out of the way and move your ottoman and shit. That was fucking as entertaining as the music. You just see how good they were. It kind of brings me flashbacks of their seminars whenever they were so entertaining, just up there talking back and forth with each other. Whenever Monoxide was doing his post NetFest stream, he said that he woke up that day and his back was fucked up and he could barely move that day. He could barely move that day, and he once he gets on stage, you can't tell it. Like, I never noticed that he wasn't moving like normally. He somehow got up there on stage. I guess the adrenaline hit him or whatever, because he was entertaining as hell during that.
Oh, hell yeah. I loved it. He's like, you better move your cats out of the way. I want you to move that table, the coffee table. I was laughing. I was like, this is great.
He has perfected the act of talking to no one. Between his live streams and this, he holds the conversation with no one in such
and laughs at himself.
Yeah.
Laughs hysterically at himself at times. I thought the way they closed their show out was really dope too. They played Love Don't Live Here Anymore and then went totally black and came back to Rock the Dead. Mm-hmm. That was pretty cool how they closed it out like that. I was hyped by then. Like, literally by the time Blaze was on, it's probably I think it was near 1 a.m. here. and I'm yelling the lyrics like I'm at a concert. I had it hooked up through my stereo and shit. Like I had fun, especially by the time Blaze and Twiztid came on.
Well, Blaze's set was so varied. Like I never seen him play so many tracks from throughout his whole discography.
And his voice sounded so good. It sounded strong. It sounded like Blaze from like 2000, 2002 era.
Blaze looks healthy. Blaze looked like he lost a bunch of weight.
Yeah, he did. He did some kind of, I don't remember all the specifics, but he was talking about his diet on one of the early streams that they were doing, him and Madrox.
Yeah, he was having knee issues too, so he's probably trying to lose some weight just to get some weight off his knee.
Yeah, he looked good. I like seeing people being healthy.
Yeah,
I remember he did that right before Gang Rags came out originally on Psychopathic. Like he got in hella good shape, and you could tell he was ready to go for that one.
Yep. Yeah, we just got the 87th re-release of Gang Rags as well.
Yeah, I have yet to get it.
I got it. I mean, I'm a collector.
Same. I am as well. I don't know.
I was watching the Ghost and Ghouls podcast, and they were talking about how that vinyl is really limited because they didn't know how many it would sell. And Madrox was like, "This is going to be the last pressing of this." He was kind of even making fun of it a little bit. He's like, "So if you want it, you better get it."
Yeah, they know that shit's been fucking pushed through fucking hell.
It's so funny to me though, because like, is that the one they have the rights to, or like, I mean, like, what's going on with the?
That's the only album that they own the rights to that he put out with Psychopathic.
Okay, because I was gonna say I'd love to see a vinyl of any other album.
Yeah, that's why they were able to put out that Gang Rags Reborn, because that technically came out through Psychopathic.
That's true. Yeah.
That must have been an album that they got masters for early on when they left.
Which is so interesting because it's the one that they have the least involvement in.
Yeah. I mean, Violent J wrote that album.
Exactly.
It sounds like some of those tracks, you're like, this is fucking Violent J. Like
Tokyo Spas could have been on like a Violent J solo album.
On that weird dragon one or whatever the fuck.
I know what you're talking about.
I've been seeing people give it a little more love. Shout out to Mike Sears. He said it's not as bad as he remembers, and it's actually pretty good. And I'm like, I don't know, man. It's been so long since I've heard it. I just don't know.
There's amazing songs on it, and there always were. I mean, like Walk It Out, Dead Man Walking, I guess is what it's called. And
B&E is one of my favorite. Yeah, B&E is one of my favorite Blaze songs. Like it's a totally different flow that you ever hear Blaze do in any of his other work. I think it's probably because maybe Jay was helping out on it, but it's a really fucking good Blaze song. One of my top 5, top 10 Blaze songs.
There's a great EP on that album.
Yo.
Is it disappointing that Blaze finally gets to work with Mikey Clark, gets an album fully produced by Mikey Clark, and puts that out?
Yeah.
It's like when Boondocks put out, because did Boondocks
South of Heaven?
Yeah, South of Heaven. That was all Mikey Clark too, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not a fan, but I'm gonna check it out. And I was like, God damn it! Like, not even Mikey Clark can help.
Although The Harvest was also all Mikey Clark.
Was it?
I think people, because I was talking to somebody else. I was talking to Mike from the Juggalo Judgment podcast, and he was saying, the same thing. It was disappointing that Boondocks finally got with Mikey Clark and did South of Heaven. I was like, well, no, Harvest is at least 75, 90%.
Mikey Clark did A&B's first Psychopathic album too.
Yeah,
Blood In, Blood Out.
He's not a magician.
You could hear that they had the talent. It just wasn't, they were fucking kids. They were like 16, 17.
Yeah. Young Wilkett already was singing cool on it. Like, his weird gothy singing has always been cool.
Yeah. That Blood In, Blood Out, those intros, outros, like I always love that shit.
I think those are the coolest tracks on the album and their intros.
I think so too, yeah.
And we were talking about earlier about how people would come out on Psychopathic and immediately get love back in the day. Not them.
No.
I've never seen any group get the hell that they got. Like Jesus. Even like 10 years into their career, they were still getting shit chucked at them. They could come out and sing "Fuck the World" and still get booed off the stage.
On the Instagram page, going through, I recently got up to the Underground Psychos contest and posted the videos from it and stuff. I've never gotten more aggressive comments. then people still mad about that fucking 15 years later.
I was one of them. PLC should have won that shit.
I know. People are still tore up about it.
It was so fucked up. I mean, PLC was clearly the better group, but
it's funny to watch.
Where are they now? I haven't heard of PLC in 15 years. So
yeah, it's so.
I wonder how much of that. I wonder how much of that story is myth. How much has grown and from like something probably happened to where like A and B got bought like 5 coins, and now it's like A and B's bought fucking 5,000 coins to make sure that they won. Like I wonder like what the actual facts of that is.
It's probably all bullshit.
Yeah,
they probably just straight up legitimately won that shit.
What I'm guessing is it's kind of bullshit because I know they were kind of like known for giving out free merch at that gathering. So I'm guessing people probably seen them give them merch and it was like, oh, they're just paying them. They're giving them merch to give for them to put their vote in. So I think it probably came from that story, kind of wound itself into, oh, they're just straight buying the coins, stealing the coins and putting it into their fucking jar.
Well, and also, I mean, I've been going through all the old archives just to do the Instagram page of Faygo Lovers, of Real Juggalos and stuff. And I mean, Faygo Lovers was hyping AMB almost 2 years before that contest, you know, Unforgiven Forest and the EPs and stuff before that, and posting all their live shows and stuff. So they already had a presence for sure. And it wasn't like they came out of nowhere, but yeah, it is interesting how like, God, so many years later, people are fucking torn up about that contest.
It's funny, like how you could still be salty in your feelings about some shit that happened 15 years ago.
You know, extra fuel was thrown on the fire in 2017 because they now blame Young Wicked for breaking up Dark Lotus, and if they have never cheated in that gathering, Dark Lotus still be together.
Yeah, right.
I know.
That's hilarious.
I still see those memes.
You know, that's how some people think, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Without a fucking doubt.
PLC would never break up Dark Lotus.
No, never. Never.
That'd be a good shirt to be at a gathering. You would sell out of them at the gathering.
That's fucking funny. Because it's true.
Straight up.
But going back to NetFest, who we didn't see was G-Mo Skee, and I've been saying is G-Mo Skee signed to M&E. Fast forward to now, G-Mo Skee's got his own merch website. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think he's absolutely not on the label. I think he hasn't been for a minute. I think it's been pretty clear since, I mean, not in 2020. He was on Reddit, so.
He wasn't at Astronomicon either. If you're not at Astronomicon, it's a pretty good shot you're not with them any longer. I think he probably just had a 2-album deal with them, just like Gorilla Voltage did, and they just didn't renew it.
Yeah, I know he just had a kid, so maybe that could play a part in it, but maybe he just fulfilled his contract. I saw he posted something today saying people have been asking why my merch hasn't been restocked. I don't have an answer because I don't know. So I took it into my own hands, and my merch will never not be, in stock.
Yeah, he seems mad.
Yes. So,
I mean, he even said on that one post, I think Black Friday, he said, none of my merch is going up on M&E. I don't have a new merch drop or whatever. Like, remember this day, I think is what he finalized.
He came out with a whole song about it, basically, too.
Yeah.
Right? Which Essential Rappers or something like that.
With Hobson, the perfect crybaby song for Hobson. I love Hobson, but dude's such a fucking crybaby.
I think the biggest thing that G-Mo did wrong, everybody says it's dissing Violent J. I think he dissed Faygo Lovers. And whenever he went off on Faygo Lovers and told them to stop posting about them, I think that's when most people stop fucking with him. I think more people would get upset about you talking shit about Scotty D, because look how long them people have been rolling with Scotty D. That Scotty D ain't ever let anybody down. So you start talking shit about Scotty D and Faygo Lovers, you're gonna piss Juggalos off. And as soon as he did that, that's when his numbers really fell off on views and streams and things like that. It wasn't after the J thing. The J thing got him more looks. But whenever he did that to Faygo Lovers, man, he just and they stopped posting about him as well. So he just kind of became invisible.
And Scotty D's such a likable dude. Like,
Yeah.
what has that dude done? You know,
Just
What-
because people were posting negative comments on the post that he would make promoting G-Mo shit, G-Mo like went off on him. Like,
Right.
yeah, like that lost him a lot of respect with juggalos because Scotty D's one of them fucking juggalos. Like, he's like fucking Benny the ICP kid. Like, he's one of those dudes that like everybody sticks up for in the community.
right? Yeah, that Violent J disc to me was great. I thought it was fucking awesome. I mean,
Yeah, I thought it was.
he schooled that track so hard. You know, the whole.
I thought it was all
the whole-
cliche stuff. It wasn't really too anything innovative. I mean, he can rap, no doubt, but he always seemed like a generic version of D12 to me. He seemed like D12, and the majority of the D12 album I'm listening to is done by Bizarre.
Right.
Is the best way I can explain him.
He would have fit in well with Funk Volume in 2012.
I loved his game streams though. I fucking was on all of his game streams. He was funny as fuck playing Friday the 13th.
G-Mo's a funny motherfucker.
Yeah, that shit was funny. So that's another reason I could never get into his music because he was so into video game references that I didn't have no fucking clue about.
But I do think there's a super market for him that's not in the
Oh yeah, for sure. I
mean, like when I went to the Generation Nightmare tour, I ran into people I hadn't seen in years who were there to see G-Mo because they like his streams and they like him as a persona. I think maybe he had lost his goodwill for the in the Juggalo community with the Violent J stuff, but I don't think that I would not count him out at all. I think he's got a niche that there's gamer dudes that want to hear that shit for sure.
Yep.
I thought G-Mo was a good signing for M&E because it was outside of that wicked shit, horrorcore genre. He's more hip hop. He was doing those Team Backpack ciphers, who had, they had, all of Funk Volume. I think some of Strange Music did some of those Team Backpack ciphers.
Mm-hmm.
It was like real hip hop shit, but it's borderline. Nerdcore or whatever the fuck that shit is called because he has so many video game references and it has a little bit of violence in it as well.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty I mean there's a lot of chopping people up and a lot of shock content and stuff. I think he was outside of the horrorcore scene. I don't know about genre.
What's that?
Oh, I said I think you're saying he's outside of the horrorcore genre. I think he's pretty cemented right in there in the same way as like a King Gordy or something, but he was outside of the scene. Right.
He's more his sound is more traditional hip hop.
Yeah.
With that kind of horrorcore comedic style. And I thought it was going to bring more eyes to M&E, even though he wasn't, that well known of an artist at that time when he was signed. But I mean, to him not being on the label doesn't really matter to me.
No, I think he'll do his own thing. I think he's regrouping right now.
I think he'll be fine on his own. He might even do better on his own.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's still stigma. I think, I think it's hard to come out as an artist that does have kind of I don't want to say a mainstream sound necessarily because he absolutely doesn't, but like more of a traditional sound, I guess.
Yeah.
And have I mean, for a lot of people, I think the Juggalo title or, fan base is baggage because, the mainstream world isn't excited about it. I think like someone like Ouija Mac, there's a lot of artists similar to him bubbling a lot harder than him. And I don't know if that's the connection or what it is, but I mean, like, I do think on his own, he might do better.
Well, speaking of Ouija Mac, when he was in Swagtooth,
mm-hmm.
they were really on that grind and on the rise to be like something like a la Zulilu is. They had sponsorships from Mishka, whole bunch
mm-hmm.
of people coming out of New York. I think they were based out of New York at the time. I know Ouija's from Vegas. I don't know if Choir's from Vegas, whatever, but
aren't they the group that Jay was talking about signing in that Fago Lovers interview? He's like, there's a dope ass group. We're just waiting it out. They don't want to sign right now with the FBI beef and shit and all that. And then Ouija ended up signing. I think that was the group. That's how big of a fucking ruckus they were making.
Yeah. They were grinding. I really thought, there were three groups that were coming up. It was Dark Half, Zool, and Swagtooth. I was like, these three groups right here are what the wicked shit is going to be represented. In the future. They're on the grind. They're putting out fucking great music. I love all that Swagtooth shit. I loved the old Zool shit. Dark have always been ill since their first album. But apparently Ouija just took the deal on his own behind Choir Boy Dank's back. Choir Boy Dank aired him out on Facebook a couple years back. It was like, this dude fucking went and took the deal, talking shit about me to Psychopathic, blah, blah, blah. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I would have liked to seen the group get signed rather than solo. I fuck with Ouija. But
while we're talking about Ouija, did anybody happen to catch Ouija on Shaggy and the Creeps Grand Theft Auto stream?
I keep meaning to go back and watch it,
dude. Watching Shaggy like play and commentate Grand Theft Auto was fucking hilarious. Like Ouija's big time into it. So he had like a fucking apartment and everything. He met up with Shaggy's character. He's like, I'll show you my apartment. And he goes up there and they walk through there and they end up in the bedroom and Shaggy like lays on the bed. He's trying to act like he's trying to get Ouija to come over there. And then there's this shirtless dude that walks out of the fucking door. Shaggy like, who's this other ninja in your bedroom? Who's this other shirtless ninja in your bedroom? He's just going off the whole time like that. It's like 3 hours of him just fucking commentating Grand Theft Auto. It's fucking great.
I gotta watch that.
Yeah, it's fucking great. Like it's some old school Shaggy shit. Like funny as fuck. It's like Stranglemania, like the commentary.
Yeah, I mean, I think Shaggy and the Creep doesn't get a lot of love. I think people think it's mediocre, and I think it can be sometimes, but it's also brand new. I think Shaggy is a guy that I could watch do almost anything, just because he does have that funniness he brings to all of it. Even like, you know, on the earlier stuff, because I was trying to catch up, and you know, he got excited that people were donating like $4 or something, right, and started going off on that. And it's just like his personality is so strong for something like that, for that kind of content.
And it's something we never got to see. Like it's right, brand new. I think Chuck Reeves was saying it. The thing that's so good about that show is the first time you see Shaggy in the alpha position, where he's the dude making fun of somebody, and it's totally that sums it up. That's what's cool about that show.
Well, and it also is another outlet for his art. I mean, like he does all the merch for them, and you can tell it's his drawings in the same style as some of the old, you know, like the Wicked Clowns comic and the
Fuck Off comic.
Exactly, the cover. Yeah. And so he's doing all that. So it really does feel like something he should have done 10 years ago almost, where it's just like, okay, well, if I'm going to wait for this other dude to write the songs, or, you know, I could be doing my own content.
He's got his kid on there as a character, Lucha Ronin. He runs in at random and just like hits Shaggy wearing a fucking Lucha mask.
Yep. I prefer the podcast that they have over the. Unless
the vlogs are corny. The vlogs are hella corny. They're like scripted. It's like watching WWE that's over scripted.
Yeah. It's not.
It's not Shaggy being Shaggy.
No, it's not. It's like it's way too forced. If it was like the old Shaggy show videos,
yeah,
it would be much better. But the podcast and then like the Twitch streams when they're playing video, like last night they were playing Mario Party and shit. Like those are entertaining.
There's a YouTube on whenever somebody made a custom made Mario and Mario was Shaggy and like you was trying to save Jay and like. You instead of fighting the Goombas and shit, you were fighting chickens. It like somebody totally made up a whole world and like it's on YouTube of Shaggy playing. He's marking the fuck out. He's like, and the dude that made it's in the chat, and it's just like it's like an option on the game. It's called Mario Maker. You make it yourself, and fucking like Shaggy don't believe that the dude that made this is sitting in the chat talking to him. He's like so blown away by this game. He thinks it must be like a scientist or some shit that made this like shit. So there's no way that fucking ninja that made this is talking to us right now.
That's great. That's fucking hilarious. Shaggy's a shit. I like seeing him staying busy, doing something.
I like that he's staying creative. He's doing art. You know, he's making content. And like I said, like any new YouTube channel is not going to be amazing, you know? So we'll see how it goes, but it's cool. I don't know. I think 2020, as much as it's been people just staying the fuck home, has been a crazy year for ICP, I think, because I think it started with, I mean, I guess Shaggy and the Creep started late 2019, but like that's been fun to watch. Shaggy kind of have an outlet, and then starting with like the canceling of the gathering, and then them donating the merch for masks, and then leading into the Rebel flag shirts have become like, I've seen people on Instagram with those that have no interest in ICP probably, or like Anthony Fantano. Is anyone familiar with him? He's like a YouTube reviewer. He had one of those shirts on a video I happened to see, and like comedian Ron Funches, like all kinds of people, and then them going on Chris Hansen and talking about like, you know, consent and like, you know, treating women fairly and stuff. Like, I don't know. It's been cool to see those guys be on like We're Good Dudes tour. I don't know. Perception wise,
they're not putting out much content. The Chris Hansen thing, and I forgot to update it because I actually did watch that show that they did with Chris Hansen, and they did address the thing with Will Sigler. And the only thing that bothers me is they knew about it, but they didn't do anything until the Juggalos caused an uproar. And I don't know if you guys remember, but that was fucking crazy when that came to light and everybody found out about it, and they were just blasting like court documents up online and all this other shit. And then all these other girls coming forward talking about Will. And why did it take for the Juggalos to be outraged for them to like, they shouldn't even have just had the dude there in the first place?
I think it's easy to trust a guy, you know, in a lot of ways. I mean, I've had similar situations, and like just like a couple years ago, I had a podcast that I did with another dude, and there's people saying stuff here and there, and he had his side of the story, and it's easy to believe your friend. And then it became too glaringly obvious, and I got rid of him. When I think it's a relatable situation because, you know, usually people that are dirtbags like that are real good at spinning a story. And I'm sure he'd spun it his whole life to everyone he met, you know, and had it down pat like it was the truth to him. So I don't know. Right. It's not ideal, but I guess I get where they're coming from on it. And even though that sucks that it took that long or whatever, I think it's cool that they're going out and being like, just making those statements and stuff. Cause I mean, Juggalos are varied, I would say, in what kind of people they are. There's some real good ones, and then there's not. And so I think to have your heroes out there talking about that kind of stuff, if you're a dirtbag by chance, you know, might make you rethink yourself a little bit.
I also wonder how much they actually knew, because us as Juggalos, and especially like hardcore Juggalos that try to find out like all the information they can, always expect ICP to like know their own information as well as we do, and nothing has backed that up the opposite more than Shaggy show. Like, people will quote lyrics to him and he don't know that it's their own lyrics. He'll bring up like tour names, he won't remember the tour names. So I don't even know how much Shaggy, especially, I don't even know how much he even knew. Like, they seem like there's a lot of stuff that they seem really disconnected about whenever things come up. Because, you know, all them Juggalos in the chat rooms got these classic questions that they've been wanting to know for 15 years. And Shaggy will have no idea what the fuck they're talking about at all. Like Keegan will have a better idea of what they're talking about than Shaggy.
That's true too. And I'm not going to dismiss the fact that, you know, they did handle the situation when it came to light, and they continued to address it. I thought it was a little funny that this Davey Vanity guy, whatever the fuck his name is, you know, I don't want to say old news, but it just seemed very random.
It's random as fuck.
Very random.
Violent J coming out like Juggalo enemy number one. Y'all know what to do. Beat this dude down. I'm like, I get what you're saying, but maybe not the best way to fucking word it.
What was hilarious to me was him on there, and they were talking about how they knew about him in the first place and how they had heard of the band Blood on the Dance Floor. And 4 minutes into this interview with Chris Hansen, they're talking about, this pedophile needs to be stopped. Anyway, we knew about his band because we're huge Michael Jackson fans. It's like,
right.
All right, man.
Right.
The fucking irony.
Some irony there.
Yeah.
Fucking Michael Jackson.
My favorite part was Chris Hansen calling Shaggy to dope the whole time.
Shaggy to dope.
Which is funny because it's the number 2. Like, it's not like he spells it like it's literally the character, the number 2.
Shaggy said on his stream he didn't have the heart to correct him. He's such a fan of him. He didn't have the heart to correct him.
I saw that. That was fucking hilarious.
It's so funny though, because like, how do you mispronounce a literal number?
The number.
Right. I like how he gave a whoop whoop at the end of the show as well.
Mm-hmm.
That was funny. But
it was funny how Violent J kept telling people to beat the dude down, and then like the girl that was on the panel kept saying, "No, don't do that."
Right. Yep.
Violent J's like, "No, fuck it. If you say it, fuck them up."
And then all the wig
our
snatching.
entire career is a lawsuit. We don't care.
Yeah,
straight up.
It's the truth. But I like how they hold their stance. With the fuck your rebel flag shirts, all that shit. It's dope to see.
Yeah. I mean, it's been such a tumultuous year for so many reasons, like politically, health shit and all that. It's cool to see them kind of stand up as the dudes they were in the first 5 to 10 years of the group, right. That were super outspoken about stuff. I don't feel like I've seen that in the last 5+ years at all. And so I don't know, it's exciting to see them get behind that and to see people take notice, to see Spin Magazine reporting on the Rebel Flag shirts and boosting those sales numbers, and, to see them making headlines with some of this stuff, because as much as, and I gotta be careful with my words here, but as much as the march and all the FBI stuff was, in the name of like helping the Juggalos get a better image, it didn't really do a lot for that. It kind of was just a weird circus that came and went, and people went like, "Oh, that was cool, I guess," or whatever. Like people, they didn't
burn DC down.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the reaction.
They must be nice. But I think this little tour of press and stuff they've been doing is going to ultimately do more for that Juggalo name than any of this stuff, because it shows these two guys that everyone thinks are jokes, being on the right side of things in a way that I think a lot of people still don't expect, even though they've been on that side of things forever.
They get a lot more good press in the last bunch of years.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, even though they got made fun of for it, was the whole magnets thing back in 2009, but ever since then, it seems like they get a lot more positive press and a lot more people showing love in mainstream media, which is crazy because it just was never like that.
The way they reacted to the whole magnets thing, the way they played it, and kind of like, it was almost like Eminem and 8 Mile. Like they beat everybody to the punchline because they were making fun of themselves, and they weren't trying to take themselves too seriously. Right. And even whenever people was talking shit about it, they were still like, we don't take our shit too seriously. I wrote that song whenever I was watching my kid play with magnets. And I think the way they reacted to that earned them a lot of respect from like the current day media that has changed since. Violent J always talks about the people that are running the media now are the teenagers of the parents that were writing the reviews that didn't like them back in the 90s. So anything your parents don't like, you probably have a little bit more respect for, which makes a lot of sense when you think about it, because that generation that hated on them back in the 90s are out, and there's a new generation that kind of runs the whole media thing these days, especially since social media is taking over.
And I've got a friend who is like a diehard Grateful Dead fan, and we were talking about this whole concept, and he was saying it's very similar because back in the day the Deadheads were dirty pieces of shit, hippies, everyone hated them, and now Nike just put out a shoe with Grateful Dead bears on it, it sold out in 10 minutes, and now it's going for like $1,500 online. Like at some point you go from being this hated thing to just becoming an accepted part of society, and some people like it, some people don't like it, but it just is what it is. And I think we're starting to see that tipping point, which I think it's super cool. I mean, I don't know, I would love to wear a t-shirt out and not get a dirty look,
Right.
Yeah, you see that happen in almost every genre of music. There was a time there in the 90s that those hair metal bands couldn't show their face, and then you think about 10 years after that, that nostalgia factor kicked in, and all of a sudden it was cool for Motley Crue and Poison to be back out on the fucking road again.
Yeah, and they're fucking killing it, making shitload of money.
Yep, more than they ever did.
Stadium tours.
Even new metal, you see like a lot of like hip young kids. Like, I don't know, I follow a lot of the I guess like SoundCloud rap or whatever you would call it, and like it's the cool kid stuff, and you see a lot of those kids wearing like Korn shirts or repping for stuff that 5 years ago was a hated joke.
Yeah, back 5 years ago it would only be Nirvana. Now you're seeing Korn, you're seeing Deftones, you're seeing Limp Bizkit. Like the new metal is definitely on the rise again, like I was talking about with the hair metal kind of having to take a break. I think new metal's kind of on that verge where the kids growing up, their parents was jamming to some $3 bill, y'all. They heard it whenever they were 3 years old, and now they want to see it live.
Yeah.
I would love to see Limp Bizkit. I would love to see them play that album front to back.
Fuck yeah.
That would be amazing.
What is their status? Who's in that band at this point? Is it the original 5?
The original's all there. Wes is still in the band. They've been recording an album for 5 years now.
Oh God, at least. I mean, did they ever do the one that was on Cash Money?
That's it. The Stampede of the Disco Elephants, which is their last title.
I feel like that's more like 10 years at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, it's getting closer to 10 than 5.
Lord.
I haven't enjoyed a Limp Bizkit album since Significant Other was okay, but anything after that was
Yeah.
I like some of the songs on Chocolate Starfish, but like they had definitely fallen off a lot by then. And also you got to think they put out those 3 albums in a year and a half. So you're not going to get the greatest quality unless you're DMX. He's the only one that's ever put out 2 classic albums in under a year that I can think of.
Right.
Yeah, I'm jogging my brain. I got nothing.
Well, we'll see if Twiztid could drop another heater this year. You know, we've got 4 months left of the year, and there's supposedly 2 more albums coming.
And Monoxide has repeatedly said that Al Azul Lul is recording V5 as well. Like he's mentioned that a couple times on streams that somebody will ask him about Al Azul, and he's like, they're doing the V5 right now. They're supposed to send it back to us, and then we'll see if we want to fuck with it.
I mean, they got nothing but time on their hands right now. They can't tour.
I think fall and winter is going to be insane for new music, not just in this scene, but in general. Because I think once people got locked down, they started working on stuff, and they also started holding projects. Like I know major labels weren't allowing artists to put things out because they couldn't tour behind it or do anything. And I think certain things have come out. I think like the Taylor Swift album was one of them that like taught them like, okay, things can still be successful in this climate. Right. And now I think those things are going to start trickling out. And I think come September and the rest of the year, there's going to be, a handful of major albums every week.
Yeah. Look at Strange Music. Once everything shut down, they slowed down. They started out the year fucking fast and hard. It was like 3 EPs every week, a fucking album at least once a month, and then it just kind of stopped. But now they're dropping EPs again, videos, singles. Tech Nine just announced that there's more Fear, extra songs that were recorded for Enter Fear that he's gonna release. It's like, so they're picking back up. So the fall going into the fourth quarter is going to be interesting for.
Speaking of Tech, did anybody hear the Corey Taylor and Tech Nine song that just came out?
Yes, I did.
I
heard a clip of it, and it sounded. I was like, nope.
It sounds like a wrestling theme. It's corny as hell, but Tech kills it for what he was given. Like he's pretty good. His verse is pretty good, but the song is just fucking corny as fuck.
I thought that other rapper was really good. I don't know who he is, but I thought he killed it.
Yeah, I can't remember what his name was, Nookie or something like that.
But yeah, I mean that song sounds like that
kind of wrestling. That was a wrestling thing.
Yeah, well, he's got a belt the whole time. But it sounds like those kind of bombastic like radio country songs about like jet skiing or whatever.
Yeah.
But then he's like also rapping over it.
Like a really peculiar rap. It was definitely weird for sure. But I thought Tech killed it. I was impressed with Tech shit.
Yeah, it's cool to see. He did another song with Hollywood Undead too.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard that one either. I don't know. It's just weird. These weird collaborations. Not necessarily Corey Taylor, because that first song they did together on was a Special Effects Wither was fucking amazing.
Yeah, they've been friends for a long time, so that makes sense. It's interesting to see Corey Taylor put Tech on a lead single.
Tech's played some NotFest shows even.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Corey Taylor having Tech on a lead single for a Corey Taylor project. That's cool. That's a really good look for Tech because comparison-wise, Corey Taylor is much popular than Tech.
Oh, yeah. Corey Taylor is a whole nother stratosphere.
Right.
Well, and that video is so cartoony and has so many guest appearances that, like, people are going to check it out, if even just to laugh at it, honestly. And they're going to see that Tech verse. So, I mean, it's a good look for him.
And there's a lot of people that like that shitty jet ski sounding country style music as well, apparently, because there's a lot of people making a lot of bank from it. So he's gonna get his name out to a lot of people.
Yeah, I think I'm a Corey Taylor only in Slipknot guy. I think that's my official determination.
Same here.
I love Stone Sour. It's so good.
It's got, I don't know. It's not for me.
It's a more mainstream sound, especially like the newer stuff. But their first couple albums, Come Whatever May, the first one, I think it's self-titled. I think
it is. Yeah.
But especially those first two albums are fucking amazing. And Corey Taylor has become one of my favorite like vocalists, just period. Like that dude could do anything.
Yeah, he's a great vocalist.
Yeah.
Anytime I hear Stone Sour, I'm just thinking in the back of my head, he could have spent this time making a Slipknot track. So I think that's why I don't like Stone Sour.
Facts.
It's like, I don't know. I feel like I like his voice. I might not be a fan of his creativity, which makes me feel like an asshole saying that. But I think, get Clown in there making some ideas, and he can spit them out.
Right.
No pun intended.
Clown's like the Mikey Clark to Slipknot's.
Yeah.
Magic, you got to have Clown there to even it out, or Corey Taylor just goes off stupid. You end up with that song we're talking about.
And it's funny because it's CMFT, because it's almost like CMT the channel.
I thought it was a CMT belt whenever I seen
it.
That's great.
CMT title.
Yeah, I heard a clip of it that Corey Taylor posted, and I was like, that does not sound good at all.
The whole thing doesn't either.
I would imagine.
It sounded like a Big and Rich song with Tech Nine on it.
Yeah.
That's what he was going for. He nailed it.
Tech deserves it. Tech been putting it down for more than 20 years at this point.
I mean, 30 at least.
Yeah, closer to 30, I would say.
Yeah, I was kind of just counting like strange music, but yeah, he's been putting it down for 30 years without a doubt. But I think I'm gonna wrap this bitch up. I think we fucking did a dope show.
Absolutely.
Much love to you guys. I appreciate you guys hopping on here. You guys got anything you want to plug?
I'll just say, at Twiztid History on Instagram. It's summertime and I've been moving and busy, so I've been a little slow on it, and I apologize to all the fans. But yeah,
get that fucking mutant review out, bruh.
Oh, it's so tough. Those reviews take me probably 3 or 4 hours to do, because I have to listen to the album a bunch, and then the actual writing takes probably at least 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I'll get it done, but goddamn, I got other things to do. I got to listen to Corey Taylor.
Yeah, right.
Just follow at Jokerz Gallery on either Instagram or Twitter. Currently putting together my next documentary. I think I've got it locked down enough to where I'm confident enough to say it'll be an Alice in Chains documentary.
I was just gonna give you shit just now, saying, "Where's the next documentary at, bro?"
It's coming. I'm hoping to have it out by Lane's birthday.
When's
August 22nd.
Oh, wow,
okay.
Soon. Okay, that's
Alice in Chains is so fucking classic. I love all the clips and pictures that you post lately of that band. I just so good.
I was just going back through it after listening to the untold story of Alice in Chains. I was going back and finding some stuff through YouTube. And what inspired me to make a documentary about Alice in Chains is, one, I couldn't find one. And two, I watched the VH1 documentary. I watched like the Height documentary, which was made by Seattle documentary makers. So it was really connected. And Alice in Chains, nothing but like a side note in any of those. They literally talk about Alice in Chains for 94 seconds. Whenever they're talking about Alice in Chains, it's 94 seconds of a 48-minute documentary. I was like, these dudes deserve more credit than that. So I at least want to try to put my name in the hat and try to give them some props.
Oh yeah, that's dope. I look forward to that.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch that.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. You always kill it with the documentaries, and Robbie, you fucking schooling it with the Twiztid History page. And much love to you guys hopping on here. And thank you to everybody that's tuned in. And until next time, I'm out. Peace.